Don't go deep in the water. One or the other, anyway. But at the end of the day, like, it's just having a chat, you know what I mean? Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with SamPaul, and we're joined today by my man Nico, who's a musician and a distiller. So that's pretty exciting. I haven't had a distiller on the show before.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Yeah, it's whiskey and stuff.
Show the old coffee cup there. Shout out to Shane. My man Shane, who was the first interviewee, he was the one that took a chance on me when I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Came to me a couple of days later with some coffee cups made up.
Oh, awesome.
Not these actual ones. He just got one, just said black writing, coffee with SamPaul, but I took it one further and took my little kind of picture that I'd made and got him pressed up. So I still give him the credit, because if it wasn't for him, I would have thought about it. So, yeah. Tell me, how did you get into distilling?
Distilling, I used to work at a place called Port Tom's in Sydney.
Yeah.
And I used to work there for just behind the bar, and I was moving to Adelaide with my wife. Trying to get into she wasn't my wife at the time, but is now.
Yeah.
Trying to get into property market and stuff because it's so expensive in Sydney.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that in Adelaide though now, isn't it?
Yeah, we got there just before it all just jacked way up. So like, we arrived and then we were like, oh yeah, we're trying to get into it until we get a property, but then Deanna changed where she worked and the style of work she was doing.
Yep.
And being Colombian, she's not able to just, like, she was a liability in the eyes of the bank, so we had to wait for ages, and it's just just be like, but yeah, no, that's what got me over to Adelaide.
Yeah.
And just before I left, I met one of the directors at Storytellers, and they gave me a job. I was originally going in for the bar, but then they put me on as the distiller, and I prefer it. So it's good. Yeah, made some crazy stuff, made absinthe and all these.
I was about to say, what do you make? Because my friend who I'm going to have a chat to later, she runs a gin distillery.
Yeah.
Which seems to be quite all the rage. I've noticed a lot of gin places popping up, but
yeah, because gin only takes 6 hours to make. So
really?
Yeah, if you've got a lot of guys, all the gin distillers, I'm going to say pretty much 99.9% of them, they all buy neutral spirit from Tarek in Adelaide, because that's where they basically get the leftover grapes from all the wineries and turn it into a clean neutral spirit. So you buy like a big IBC, like 1,000-litre container of 96% ethanol.
Okay.
And then it's just coming up with a botanical build, what you like, what you don't, and putting it either in the maceration or in the vapor basket, and just, it can take 6 hours to do it.
Oh wow.
Because there's no aging.
Yeah,
once you've got that neutral spirit, it's basically just like a flavouring, it's like a tea bag essentially. You make the tea and then put it in the vapor basket or whatever.
Oh wow, okay. Well, there you go. I've just learned something.
Yeah.
So what's been your favourite sort of thing to make distilling?
We made a Geneva, which was like an old school gin before gin was gin. It was this Dutch thing, and it's like a mix between malt wine, like a whiskey, and layman's term, a kind of cross between a whiskey and a gin.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Yep.
I like that. I like the absinthe. Currently we're doing a rye whiskey. I made like a rum at 1.2, which was cool because we got to age it. We got a little barrel and all that kind of stuff. But technically you can't call it a rum until it's been aged for 3 years.
Okay.
But without getting too boring with it, the size of the barrel makes a difference for how long it can be aged, right? Because if it's like a small barrel, you got a lot of liquid to surface area, and it's going to age faster than if you got a giant barrel.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a bit silly because, like, if you use 3 years, right, it has to be aged for 3 years. Like, the product's going to be completely different depending on the size of the barrel.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow. I had no idea. I mean, obviously I knew there was more to it than what I know, because I don't know much about distilling, but there's clearly a hell of a lot more to it than what I think a lot of people probably would realise, to be honest.
Yeah, there's heaps. It's like, my math's pretty terrible. It always has been. And when I started, I was like, how do I do this again?
I was going to say, you'd need a bit of math in you, like quantities and all that kind of calculation.
Well, something like I didn't even realise, like, just showing, my lack of science. I dropped in year 10 and stuff, but like, I didn't think about how when there's different densities in liquids, so therefore different weights. So like you get a kilo of water, it's a litre, but a kilo of 96% would be like, you know, a litre and a half or something like those volumes. You have to constantly be accounting for the different viscosities and densities and volumes.
Oh wow, there you go. I had some illusion to that because my mum and my gran used to do a lot of baking and things like that.
Yep.
So I knew that, like, for example, milk was a little bit heavier. 1 litre of milk was a bit over a kilo, not much over, but it was a bit over, because of the viscosity. I don't even know what that word means. I'm just using it.
I think I probably used it incorrectly. It's like it's how thin something is. Like if it's honey, it's
like
really
oil
viscous.
Viscous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, Qantas didn't get my message.
Yeah. Oh, my sister works at Qantas. I can give her a call.
And tell me about your musicianship. So, what do you play?
I sing. I play piano.
Oh wow.
I tried to teach myself harmonica, and you can basically, of course, it's in key. You can pick up a harmonica and be able to muck around with it if you just put a week or so in there. But no, definitely not harmonica. I can sing. I can play piano, and I produce my own music.
Oh, nice.
So I do kind of like a electronic-y, it's vocal based. A lot of the focus is more around my singing and stuff. But I guess it's kind of got more. It's kind of like a collaboration of, I guess, like rock and electronic music, I'd say, to a degree.
Wow, that's awesome.
Kinda. That's kind of where I like to do.
I think it's great when you kind of struggle to describe your style, because I feel like that means you're bringing in many different influences.
Yeah.
That you're kind of almost like creating your own style.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I've been a bit like, and I know I get a bit ADHD when I'm doing it, and I'll be like, my song will be like all real upbeat here, and then it'll be like, boom, down into some minor chords, and then straight back. Like, it can be, it's cool though. Like, I like, I guess from listening to, a lot of metal and stuff early when I was younger. Like, I don't really listen to rock these days. I listen to actually things like Teskey Brothers and Michael Kiwanuka, but then a lot of Rufus Du Sol and but I liked all those things from the past, but I noticed that with a lot of things like, say, Metallica, it doesn't just stay put. The whole song's constantly moving around. Yeah. And goes quiet and builds up again. And
exactly.
I like to do that kind of stuff with music. But then it means I have to kind of write lyrics around it. Like, it'll be like, I have a song that's about, something upbeat, but then I always have to have a dark turn to it just because I've drawn to writing some darker music at the end. Oh,
I think that's really cool though, because to me, I grew up in an age when artists were releasing albums, not singles like they do now, and so it was a journey. And I think if you can achieve that in a song as well, I think that's incredible. And you do need your dark and your light to have that journey. When you mentioned before about growing up on rock and metal, it's funny because I was just reading a guy that I know, his band had just picked up support for a pretty well-known Australian rock band from back in the 90s. They were called the Poor Boys back then. Okay. But they're now called the Poor. Have you heard of them at all?
No.
They're kind of, without discounting what they do, I would call them like a younger brother of AC/DC.
Oh, right.
They had a very, to me anyway, probably very ignorantly, but they had a very AC/DC kind of vibe, but they were from Darwin, which is where I grew up. Yeah, so right. There was always this sort of certain love for them because they were like local boys and that. But a mate of mine just picked up support for them, and I was just reading that, and it just made me think of it when you mentioned the heavier music.
They're kind of similar to like Rose Tattoo or something like that.
Yeah, kind of like that.
I guess when we were growing up, it's like I think I got back into, I liked rock as a kid, and then I got into like rap in early high school, and then liked more rock by the end of it. But it was still in those days where you were kind of like, I'm one or I'm this or I'm that, where you're buying CDs and so if your mates are into metal and rock, then you get into that, and then you buy all those CDs, so you're really only exposed to that. Yeah, you don't have that like they have today with YouTube, where you can, and Spotify, you can see everything. And that's
exactly. Although I do feel there's an inherent kind of issue with the algorithmic method of sharing music. You were saying you might listen to a song by this person or that person, and then the algorithm kicks in and starts recommending stuff. can be a little bit disconcerting in a way, because like then you kind of, it's almost like you with those CDs you talk about, where you're only exposed
Exactly.
to what fits within that algorithm, you know. That's why I always tell people when someone inboxes me a song by an artist that I've never heard of, or a song I've never heard of, I always say, you know, thank you so much, because I think people that share music with you are so important, because it opens you up outside of that algorithmic mentality that we seem to have been living in now.
Yes, you are totally right. I totally agree with that. Just like the amount of music that is on Spotify is insane.
Yeah.
And like everyone, there's millions of artists out there trying to get their music to be played, whatever caliber it is.
Yeah.
And yet I go on and I hit play, and for a random song, and all I hear is a lot of the same things. Like, you know, I've heard that Tato by Masengo and in like every job I've been to, and then like it's in my, if it's not a bad song, and FKJ, the guy who does it with, is a great, you know, musician.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much out there that you just don't get exposed to.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah. I remember when technology was first starting to really kick in when it came to recording and production, particularly for the music industry, and it was like, oh wow, I can finally make a whole album in my bedroom because I've got the technology to make that studio quality if I know what I'm doing, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. Knowing what you're doing, but I don't know how to get the mixing and mastering. I need to go out externally for that.
Over here. No. That is something that I am sort of somewhat qualified in and you know, reasonably experienced, but that's another story. We can talk about that another time. But what I think and this is something I've noticed with technology in general, like there's always these unintended consequences, and the unintended consequence of technology and recording at home is that we've got a flooded market of music, and it's so hard to know, for an artist coming up in it, it's hard to stand up above the rest, so to speak.
Absolutely.
You know, because we've got so much music, and like you said, you just listen to Spotify or YouTube or whatever, and all this stuff's just popping up, and it's usually, probably 9 times out of 10, usually the artists that have a major label backing in a sense, so they're kind of being pushed up above the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so we get left by the wayside. It's the same thing I found with, you know, when computers were becoming really big in business, and they were like, oh, paperless offices, and you're not going to have to work as hard. But the bottom line was that they were still printing it all out because the tax department required them to hold on to these hard copies of all their documents for 7 years or whatever it is. So we're still printing, and the bosses just expected us to work more because we could do it quicker with a computer.
More efficiently.
So, like, you know, unintended consequences, I suppose.
And that's what Russell Brand is. I saw him in an interview with Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how he's like, you know, in the 60s, they're all like, this technology is going to come in and we're not going to have to work. I don't know what fucking accent that was, but yeah, you know, our work week could be 4 hours, and then now we're working more than ever with all this technology. Yeah.
So, when you perform, are you exclusively like originals, or do you play covers, or?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I was trying to set a playlist up for about 3 hours of tracks. I'm in the stage of building that. The set lists.
Yep.
I wanted to, you know, chuck some of my songs in there, but the thing is like, I basically, if I was say playing covers or something at a place just for the plutter, for the money, I'd probably just be bringing and doing something with keyboards and vocals. Yeah. Because like producing a whole electronic track, like, it take years for me to get 3 hours of just like, you know, one set list. But with my own stuff, I've been kind of just making a lot of my own music more at home, one of those, you know, bedroom producer-y type of guys. Yeah. And I'm currently working on trying to build a live set with Ableton, because I don't DJ, so, and I'd prefer to be like, you know, singing and playing piano with, like, if I had a few other knew a few more musicians and stuff, I could get dudes on drums or something that, and then do a live set that way. Yeah. So it's still musical. Not saying that DJing isn't, but
No,
it's
no, no.
still,
There is definitely a skill set in DJing, but I do get what you're saying. Like
a skill set that I don't have. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to do it.
No, that's right. Thank you so much, Nico. It's been a pleasure catching up with you, and I hope you enjoyed your coffee from Ricca Coffee Co.
Shout out.
Shout out to Coffee with SamPaul. Thank you very much, man. All the best with the music and with the distilling. I'd love to hear more about it in the future. Yeah, so thank you very much, man.
Thanks for having me.